Building an unbreakable mind that commands respect. Nietzsche's blueprint. Have you ever experienced that strange shift when you begin genuinely transforming yourself? Suddenly, the people in your circle start acting differently around you. They won't say it directly. Instead, they'll mask their discomfort behind sarcasm, offer unsolicited advice disguised as worry, or create those uncomfortable silences when you share something meaningful. What's actually occurring beneath the surface is straightforward. Your psychological growth disrupts their established patterns, and nobody enjoys being forced to examine their own stagnation. Maybe you're experiencing this exact phenomenon right now. You've begun thinking independently, behaving authentically, perhaps questioning beliefs you previously accepted blindly. You've started seeing through the comfortable lies that society tells us, that success means following someone else's blueprint, that happiness comes from external validation, that thinking differently makes you problematic. Then suddenly, you find yourself feeling isolated, misinterpreted, criticized. Here's what nobody explains, and what Nietzsche grasped better than most. This isolation is the inevitable cost of developing genuine mental fortitude. Not ordinary strength, but the kind of profound inner power that makes others uneasy. It frightens them because it reveals, without uttering a word, the fragility of those still living unconsciously. Your transformation becomes a mirror they don't want to look into, showing them what they could become if they had the courage to face themselves honestly. Why does this reaction occur? Because an authentically powerful mind threatens the comfort of collective mediocrity. Nietzsche was explicit about this reality. When you choose to think independently, establish your own principles, and reject the comfortable illusion of pre-packaged truths, you become a disruptive force. Disruptive to established systems, disruptive to others' comfort zones, and most crucially, disruptive to your former self. If you're ready to explore what it truly means to develop unshakable mental strength, hit that subscribe button and join the PSYPHORIA Zone community. We're building something different here, a space for those who refuse to settle for ordinary thinking. This isn't content designed for those seeking comfort or simple solutions. It's crafted for individuals exhausted by being prisoners of their own insecurities, who sense they're on the verge of an internal breakthrough and are prepared to construct something indestructible. A mind that cannot be manipulated, a consciousness that intimidates because it refuses to compromise. If you're prepared for this journey, solitary, demanding, yet absolutely transformative, then continue with me, because what Nietzsche teaches will challenge you profoundly, but it also has the power to liberate you completely. The Forge of Inner Chaos. Nietzsche wasn't merely a philosopher, he was a psychological surgeon, someone with the audacity to peer into the void of existence and not only confront it, but immerse himself within it. Within that abyss, that inner turmoil most people avoid, he discovered the wellspring of authentic strength. For Nietzsche, human transformation doesn't emerge from tranquility, stability, or order. It emerges from suffering, from collapse, from chaos itself. He declared, "One must have chaos within oneself to give birth to a dancing star." This isn't poetic flourish, it's psychological diagnosis. This means that if you want to forge an unbreakable mind, you must abandon the naive notion that it will develop through comfort, shallow motivation, or positive mantras. The self-help industry sells you lies about easy transformation, about finding your purpose through weekend workshops and motivational quotes. But genuine strength is born when you confront suffering without escape, when you stop demanding life to be easier and start demanding yourself to be stronger. Consider the periods of your greatest growth. Did they occur when everything was smooth, or when you were broken, lost, directionless, forced to reconstruct yourself entirely? When you lost that job that defined you, when that relationship ended, when you faced that failure that shattered your self-image, these weren't obstacles to your development, they were the very foundation of it. Nietzsche understood that suffering wasn't life's mistake, but its primary catalyst. He didn't romanticize pain, he wielded it as an instrument. When you transform your relationship with pain, with failure, with isolation, you begin cultivating something extraordinary, an unconquerable spirit. This is precisely when the world begins to find you threatening, because while others flee from chaos, you learn to navigate within it. While they seek comfort, you seek growth. While they avoid discomfort, you embrace it as your teacher. The death of external authority. When Nietzsche proclaimed God is dead, he wasn't celebrating. He was issuing a warning that many still fail to comprehend. What he destroyed wasn't a divine entity per se, but the illusion that some higher authority manages everything, that existence has predetermined meaning, that purpose is granted from external sources. God's death represents the end of all excuses. Until this realization, it was convenient to delegate responsibility for your life elsewhere. It was comforting believing everything happens for a reason, that suffering serves a divine purpose, that some greater good justifies everything ultimately. It was easy to blame your parents, your circumstances, your genetics, your society for who you are and what you haven't achieved. Nietzsche violently removes this veil. He confronts you directly. You are alone. There is no ready-made meaning. There is no cosmic plan. There is no predetermined destiny waiting for you. Now you must become the creator of your own existence, the architect of your own values, the author of your own story. This is where authentic construction of a powerful mind begins. Most people collapse when they realize they face chaos alone. No manual, no guarantees, no one to blame. The comfortable illusion of external guidance is shattered, and they're left staring into the abyss of radical responsibility. But those courageous enough to face this without crumbling begin forging unshakable consciousness. With God's death, Nietzsche thrusts you into the abyss of radical freedom. You cannot follow commandments, you must create values. You cannot simply obey, you must transcend yourself. This births brutal autonomy, and with it comes tremendous weight. Everything depends on you now. Your happiness, your success, your meaning, your purpose, all of it rests on your shoulders alone. The weight of this responsibility crushes most people. They run back to religion, to ideology, to any system that promises to take the burden of choice away from them. But for those who can bear this weight, who can stand in the face of absolute freedom without crumbling, something extraordinary happens. I want to hear from you in the comments. What's one belief you've been questioning lately that everyone around you takes for granted? What truth are you starting to see that makes others uncomfortable? Share your thoughts below. This community thrives on authentic dialogue. But here's the secret. This freedom that terrifies you is also your greatest source of power. When you understand that no one will rescue you, something within awakens. A fire that compels you to rise even while wounded, that forces you to think independently, to feel authentically, to act not because someone declared it right, but because you determined it worthy. The emergence of the Übermensch. Nietzsche didn't believe in humanity's gradual, passive evolution. He believed in rupture, radical transformation, creative destruction. This led to his conception of the Übermensch, the Overman. This isn't about a superhero with mystical abilities. The Übermensch is someone who has transcended everything that binds ordinary people: guilt, obedience, herd morality, the desperate need for acceptance. The Übermensch doesn't seek approval or ask permission to exist. They create their own internal laws and live by them, even if it sets them against the entire world. This is precisely why their mind becomes unbreakable. It's not constructed on others' expectations. It doesn't require external validation to function. It's self-sustaining, powered by its own will to power, the profound drive to shape reality according to their vision. But here's what most people miss about the Übermensch. It's not about becoming a tyrant or a narcissist. It's about becoming so psychologically complete, so integrated, that you no longer need to derive your sense of self from external sources. You become your own source of meaning, your own judge, your own standard of excellence. The Übermensch doesn't adapt to the world. They impose meaning upon it. They don't seek comfort, they pursue greatness. They don't ask, is this permitted? They ask, is this worthy of who I'm becoming? They don't follow trends, they create them. They don't seek to fit in. They stand out naturally because they've become authentic. This perspective shift changes everything. When you begin seeing yourself as a creator rather than a servant, your entire way of thinking, acting and feeling transforms completely. You stop being reactive and become proactive. You stop being a victim of circumstances and become their master. The solitude of strength. Here's something no one mentions about developing mental strength. The stronger you become, the more isolated you feel. Not because you choose isolation, but because the world no longer knows how to relate to you. Your conversations become difficult because you can't engage in the same superficial topics that once entertained you. Your tolerance for drama, for complaint, for mediocrity diminishes rapidly. Nietzsche spoke clearly about this. The free spirit, one who breaks from conventional morality, who rejects easy truths, who thinks independently, inevitably distances themselves from the herd. This separation hurts, but it's necessary because genuine growth requires space, and you cannot grow while bound to others' expectations. Most people exist within an invisible herd, where every thought is monitored, every action measured by others' reactions. They've grown comfortable thinking in groups, feeling secure because others surround them, never having to face the terror of their own individual existence. You've grown accustomed to moving with the group, thinking like the group, feeling secure because others surround you. But Nietzsche proposes the opposite. He tears you from that comfort and casts you into the desert. In that desert, there's no applause, no praise, no guidance. Only you, your doubts, traumas, fears, and desire to surrender. This is where the real test begins. This is where you discover what you're truly made of, stripped of all external support systems. The desert of solitude is where you meet yourself for the first time, without the noise of others' opinions, without the distraction of social media validation, without the comfortable routines that keep you from thinking deeply. You finally encounter the raw material of your own consciousness. Nietzsche said, "The individual has always had to struggle not to be overwhelmed by the tribe. If you try it, you will be lonely often, and sometimes frightened. But no price is too high to pay for the privilege of owning yourself." That's the essence, self-ownership. The rarest and most powerful achievement anyone can attain. When you truly own yourself, no one else can control you, dictate your worth, or bring you down. But this ownership comes with the weight of loneliness, the burden of being misunderstood, the challenge of walking a path that few can comprehend, the war against mediocrity. Nietzsche didn't fear tyrants or authoritarian leaders. What he feared and denounced with philosophical fury was the subtle, corrosive power of collective mediocrity, that invisible system keeping everyone leveled down, punishing those who dare think differently, rewarding obedience while disguising cowardice as virtue. True tyranny, according to Nietzsche, doesn't come from above. It comes from the sides. It comes from the crowd demanding you remain small so they don't have to grow. When you start standing out, when your mind becomes sharper, your spirit firmer, your presence more challenging, you begin disturbing others. Not because you're doing something wrong, but because you're doing something rare. You're breaking the mold, and society despises mold breakers. Before we continue, I want to challenge you. Subscribe to PSYPHORIA Zone if you haven't already, and more importantly, share this video with someone who needs to hear this message. Mental strength isn't built in isolation. It's built in community with others who refuse to accept mediocrity. Collective mediocrity cannot tolerate individual brilliance because that brilliance exposes the darkness of ordinary existence. Nietzsche called this slave morality, a morality constructed by those who, unable to achieve greatness, decided to invert values. They transformed strength into arrogance, ambition into selfishness, independence into coldness. They created a moral system that protects the weak and condemns the strong, not from compassion, but from resentment. The weak don't want to be saved. They want the strong to be destroyed. When you start liberating yourself, they begin attacking, sometimes directly, sometimes subtly through looks, silence, irony. The message is clear. Return to the group. You're making us feel insignificant. The price and power of being unbreakable. Building a mind so strong that it becomes feared isn't just a choice, it's a renunciation. You will lose friendships based on superficiality, opportunities requiring submission, the ability to be content with mediocrity. You'll lose the comfort of blending in, of being just another face in the crowd, of having your thoughts and actions validated by the masses. But in exchange, you gain something priceless: integrity, clarity, presence. You'll notice that most people live in a stupor, going through life unconsciously, following scripts written by others. Your lucidity becomes frightening to them because it shows them what they could be if they weren't so afraid. Your firmness makes others tremble because they've forgotten what it means to have conviction. Your absence speaks louder than many people's presence because you've learned to value quality over quantity in all aspects of life. This strength doesn't come from external sources. It's not taught in self-help books or earned through empty affirmations. It's not found in weekend seminars or motivational videos. It's excavated deep within the soul, in the silence of difficult nights, in the choices no one witnesses, in the battles you fight alone against your own limitations and fears. It's the result of an internal war between who you were and who you're becoming. This war never ends because growth never stops. The truly strong aren't those who have won, they're those who continue fighting even when they could stop, who continue growing even when they could settle, who continue questioning even when they could accept easy answers. Nietzsche didn't want to create followers. He wanted to provoke internal earthquakes. He wanted you to stop crawling for approval, to stop begging for meaning, to stop seeking in ready-made systems what can only be built with blood, sweat, and awareness. He wanted you to become dangerous, not in a violent sense, but in a rare sense. So rare that your mere existence forces others to look in the mirror and confront what they're avoiding. So authentic that you become a walking reminder of what's possible when someone refuses to surrender their potential to comfort and conformity. Your difference is the spark of transformation. Your refusal to conform is the catalyst for something new to be born. This is why the world finds you threatening, because while it revolves around recycled ideas and comfortable truths, you represent the necessary discomfort for evolution. The path of the strong is not about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself so completely that you become unshakable. It's about developing such inner certainty that external chaos cannot disturb your peace. It's about becoming so psychologically complete that you no longer need anything from the world, except the opportunity to express who you truly are. This is your invitation to join the ranks of those who have chosen difficulty over comfort, growth over stagnation, authenticity over acceptance. To become someone whose mind cannot be broken, whose spirit cannot be tamed, whose presence cannot be ignored. The path is solitary, the journey is demanding, but the destination is absolute freedom, and that freedom is worth every sacrifice along the way.